Hello everyone, I'm Nabeela Arslan, a CFA charter holder and a subject matter expert at IFT. I have been associated with IFT for over 8 years, preparing study material, handling candidate queries, and grading the Level 3 CFA exam. The Level 3 CFA exam is different from Level 1 and Level 2 CFA exams because it has essay questions or constructed response questions, which are mixed with item sets. The constructed response or essay questions are often a challenge for CFA candidates, which is why in this video I will explain the Level 3 exam format and how you should attempt the essay questions as you prepare for them. This is the final leg of your CFA journey, but it is a difficult one. With IFT, we want to help you overcome this last hurdle and pass this exam too. So let's begin. Here is a brief agenda. I will give you an overview of the exam. Then I'll give you an overview of the constructed response or the essay questions. There are two key points related to the essay question, which is managing your time and answering clearly and precisely. I will talk about what you must not do, and then I will walk you through certain steps. So moving on. The total exam duration is 4 hours 24 minutes. Each session is of 2 hours 12 minutes. This is 132 minutes, which equates to 132 points. The structure of the exam is such that each session will have 11 vignettes. Each session will consist of constructed response or essay questions plus multiple choice questions. So there is a mix here. There will be either 6 item sets and 5 essay sets or 5 item sets and 6 essay sets. Overall, the exam will have 11 essay sets and 11 item sets. Total point value for each question set will be given as 12. Previously, question sets had different point value, but now all the question sets will have equal point value, which will be 12 points. Each question set will begin with a statement of the topic and total point value. So for example, you have behavioral finance as the topic. This will be stated underneath the topic. The total point value of this question is 12 points. So this is what you will see on your screen. Now I'll give you an overview of the constructed response questions. So you'll have a vignette, and within each vignette, you'll have 3 types of sub-questions. This means that your question can be either a multiple choice question or an essay question or a question that requires a numerical entry. Let's tackle the first one. If you get a multiple choice question, unlike the question in the item sets, the multiple choice questions are not limited to 3 options, and they will often lead to the next question. For example, if you get a multiple choice question that says, select the strategy that best meets the client's requirements, and you're given 3 strategies. So let's say if the right answer was a put spread, and this is what you've written as the put spread, then this question notice is leading into another question, and the second question requires an essay response. Explain why the 2 strategies not selected in the previous question are less appropriate, referencing 2 characteristics for each. Note each strategy with its 2 characteristics should be in a separate paragraph. So they'll require you, CFA will give you these instructions. The multiple choice leads into another question, which is an essay related question, and the question requires you to jot down the characteristics in separate lines. So make sure that you follow the instructions, make sure that you see the difference between these 2 types of questions, and you are starting each reason or each characteristics in a separate line. All right. The second type of question that you can get in a constructed response question is an essay or a free response question. This will give you you will see a text box where if more than one answer is requested and it says, for example, justify with 2 reasons, you will be instructed to provide each response in a separate paragraph, then do so. Follow the instructions and write each reason in a separate paragraph or a separate line. Bullet points are also acceptable. Remember, when you're asked for more than one response, you will be evaluated up to the number asked and in the order presented. So don't write extra, write only what is asked. The third type of a question is a calculation related question that you can see on the exam day, and this requires a numerical entry. You can have a text box for it or a box that accepts only numbers. Previously, you used to get a math editor function. This function has been removed. So now, if you're not sure of the answer and you want to write your steps, which is a good idea actually, do so, but you'll have to type out the variables in an equation using normal keyboard strokes. If you're very sure of the answer, use the rough work. They'll give you a laminated board or they will give you a scratch paper to do your rough work, and you can write the correct answer only. And if it's correct, you'll get your full credit. So there is no actual need for describing your steps. And I'd suggest only do so when you're not sure of the answer. There is another box, a type of box that you can see on the exam day, and that will accept only numbers. So these are numbers which can be separated by commas and decimals. You can't put your steps in a box which accepts only numbers. All right, so we've talked about the basic structure of the exam, and now we'll talk about how to manage your time. So many students face the issue of not finishing the exam within the allotted time. Unlike previous exams, the number of minutes per sub-question are not provided. What does this mean? So in the past essay exams, you used to see different parts, for example, part A of a set or part B of a set, and time was given for each part. For example, 5 minutes for part A, 5 minutes for part B, and the entire set was for 10 minutes. So you could actually pace yourself, time yourself that you would do the subparts within the allotted times. Now this is not the case. You will get one time for each question set, which is actually going to be equal for all the question sets. So that means you have to pace yourself. When you start a question, for example, you start at 9:15, add 12 minutes to it and jot down this time. So that means you can pace yourself within this 12 minutes and finish by 9:27. This is a good way to actually make sure that you are within the allotted time. I recommend that you wear a watch. The clock may not be visible to everyone, and so it's helpful for you to wear your own watch. A countdown timer is going to be given to you at the top of the screen, and a progress bar will be provided. The progress bar is for the whole exam. It's not for the AM or PM sessions or session 1 and session 2. They are called separately. So do not be confused when it looks as if you are only 25% done, when actually you are 50% done of the AM paper. So let's talk about answering precisely. This second piece of advice is actually related to the first one. To manage your time well, one can only do that if you know the answer precisely and you can put it down quickly. First, read the question. What are the tips here? You should actually read the question first and very carefully. Then you read the case which is given. Then read the question again before you answer it. Follow the instructions. So make sure that you are answering what is asked. Remember, this is a case-based exam. You are not writing something which is out of thin air. All right, so follow instructions, and going back to the same example that we have done a short while back, explain why the two strategies not selected in the previous question are less appropriate, referencing two characteristics, and note that each strategy explanation with its two characteristics should be in a separate paragraph. So here, the purpose of repeating this question is here, if you give 3 characteristics, the grader will only look at the first 2. So if you're writing more, you're just wasting your time. If the question says to explain each strategy in a separate line, make sure you do so. You have to be able to answer these lost command words. These lost command words are given on the CFA website. For example, explain means to make clear and intelligible, provide insight. So make sure that you address this word, answer precisely, and do not write extra. All right, moving on. Essay questions do not require writing an essay. So you're not showing the examiner your literary prowess here. You want to convey the main points and actually move on. You will not be judged for your grammar or how much you write. One thing I have to make clear here, even though you're not judged for grammar, make sure what you write makes sense. Otherwise, the grader will not know what you are trying to communicate. So you're graded on quality, not quantity. Also, you can use abbreviations, but stick to the ones that are used in the curriculum. Do not use abbreviations that you use in texting, because this is an exam, so the best thing would be to write them out. Points are not awarded for general knowledge. So make sure that you are addressing the question. This is the key word. So you have to address the question appropriately and remember to follow the case. All right. You are given an option to flag questions. This is a good option that's given, because if you're unsure of the answer, you can always go back to the flagged questions once you have completed the question set. All right, so I've talked about 2 key points: managing your time and answering clearly and precisely. Now let's talk about reasons for leaving questions unanswered. Over the years, I have noticed that several very smart students after the exam complained that they could not finish the exam on time. And when they find out that they have not, because they could not finish the exam on time, they find out that they have failed as a result. So there are generally 2 reasons for leaving questions unanswered. When smart people or people who studied very hard leave questions unanswered, that's because they have run out of time, or if somebody hasn't studied enough and does not know the answer, they might leave it blank. I strongly recommend that you don't leave anything blank. There is no negative marking, so you have to put something down in the space provided. So write it down. The solution to the first problem, running out of time, is actually write less, err on the side of writing less, because you need to just remember to put your key points in, stay within the allotted time, and you can always go back and review your work. If you keep on writing, there's only marginal benefit in it. And so you make sure that you are actually on top of it, you are writing what is asked and not trying to leave anything blank. If you don't know the answers to a situation where you're not sure of the answer, instead of leaving it blank, you must write the most sensible thing that you can think of. If you feel that a given formula for a question that is related to calculation is asked, then you put down that formula. If you don't know the calculation, then at least put down the formula. So be sensible. Any point that might be vaguely related to what's being asked and it is related to the case, do put it down logically. Never ever leave a question blank. I hope you know why I am emphasizing this again. If you leave anything blank, the next best thing is that you'll get 0 points. But if you do write something, there's a chance that the examiner will see some sense and give you some credit for it. Now let's talk about what you must not do. The first important point is that you must not write long-winded answers. And this is mainly a problem for people who have studied very hard, they know a lot, and they want to impress the examiner. Also, people who've spent a lot of time going over CFA Institute guideline answer or going over the solutions of the CFA curriculum practice problems, which are given at the end of each reading. You will have noticed long answers. These long answers are provided by CFA Institute to understand the concept. So in these answers, not only are they providing the answer to the question, but they're also trying to explain the concepts. You're not doing that in the exam. Say 2 reasons are asked for a question. The guideline answer might give you 4 reasons. Please don't sit there and write 4 reasons for any answer unless asked. Because in the curriculum, they're trying to actually tell you that for such a question, 4 answers or 4 reasons are valid. But the way the guideline template is written is not the way for you to handle the questions in the exam. If the question asks for 2 reasons, you need to give 2 precise reasons and stop right there. Please do not waste your time or the examiner's time. If you make general remarks, that will be a waste of time. Remember, this is a case-based exam. Use the information given in the case when answering. Perhaps the only time you will be doing this, making a general remark, is when you don't know the answer. So as long as you know the answer, write that down. If you don't know the answer, then don't leave the space blank, but write the next best logical thing. Okay, so let's go on to the next steps that you should do. So hopefully now you have a general sense of how to deal with the level 3 essay questions. The question now is what you should do next. As you begin your studies, the key to doing well on the exam day is understanding the content. Obviously, you cannot write good answers if you do not understand the content. So step 1 is to study hard. Here you can use the IFT resources. The best thing is to take IFT videos, listen to the videos, and keep the study notes open to understand what the curriculum is trying to communicate. This will lessen your stress actually, because you have somebody explaining the concepts to you and you are verifying them with the study notes. Once you understand the content, the next step is to learn how to answer questions. In every exam in the world, you need to first understand the concept and then test yourself through questions. So in CFA exam, you do the same. The next step you do is to answer questions. For example, as you study behavioral finance, from videos or notes or the curriculum, you can actually start answering the quizzes which are given at the end of each lecture. So IFT lectures give you active learning quizzes which are available for after each lecture that you can work through. These are good practices. And then what you do is, as you finish the reading, work through the end of reading questions which are given in the curriculum. So these are practice problems that will test your concepts, and the solutions are also very well written. But remember, you will not write such long-winded answers in the exam. You need to read the solutions given in the curriculum, but to know how exactly to answer questions, you should actually watch the IFT sample videos. Here we are making available for you videos related to behavioral finance, where Mr. Arif Irfanullah will walk you through how to answer actual questions that have appeared in past papers. For links to the IFT resources I'm mentioning here, please see the YouTube video description box or visit the IFC blog page. Initially, I recommend that you work through the curriculum practice problem. As you go deeper into your studies, do additional practice problems. These problems are available in the CFA ecosystem. You also get an IFT QBank. The QBank has essay sets and item sets. And it also has freestanding questions. So this is sufficient practice of all the concepts that are given in the reading. Once you've finished all the readings, I suggest do the mocks. IFT mocks are rigorous. They will test you whether you've understood the concepts or not. So you can watch IFT videos. You can also watch IFT videos on the curriculum end of reading practice problems. These will help you how to write your answers. That is for now. Remember, the key to success is lots of practice. So study hard, practice, 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 so you pass the exam. If you have any questions about this video, please ask in the comments below.